This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. That's the first time I've said X without having to put it in inverted commas.
Without chortling.
Yeah.
We're getting used to it now. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The rebrand slowly takes hold, and Elon Musk successfully conquers our minds.
Well, Elon Musk has already had one success this week because at my son's school they have a thing called crew when the kids are put into groups of 9 and then they have a sort of a contest to name the crew, and you have to come up with somebody you think is an inspirational figure. Tesla crew is what they're called now, my son's one. And I thought
they're electric.
I thought it was about Nicholas Tesla, but apparently it's a sort of Elon Musk tribute. Bozzy's speech was about calling them Allen Group after Rick Allen, the drummer in Def Leppard.
I would have really approved of that. They went Tesla.
This is a man who lost his arm and continued to be a professional drummer, which is, I mean...
I don't know if he's got the cut through among the young that Elon Musk
although
has.
Taylor Swift was one of the nominees, didn't make it.
Gosh.
Beaten by Musk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Leave it.
That's what happened to me in the school holidays. I didn't shower for about 6 weeks. I got to a point in the school holidays when I was able to put my socks on the wrong feet and they felt uncomfortable.
Oh, God.
I know. That is bad, isn't it? So I was at the Picture House at Piccadilly this week with my stablemate Dave Berry.
I'm seeing some photographic evidence of this being sent to us. Lovely picture, may I say.
Well, Dave always looks great. I look like an old man, Commander.
Au contraire.
Okay.
I think you look very dashing.
Thanks. So it was a Q&A with Miranda Sawyer, and she asked us stuff about Absolute being 15 and highlights of our careers at Absolute and stuff like that. At one point I had to explain why this show doesn't have a sponsor. It's a bit hashtag
Gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Those are some serious cues.
Was that her opening question?
Well, I mean, Dave was very nice about Wix. I said if they did a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, might Wix be the sponsors of it? Because I think they do make chainsaws. But I don't. Maybe they would want to be associated. But
Lunchtime, dear.
so he was on about how
Was it lunchtime?
how lovely. Well, no, it was pre-lunch. In fact. But apparently they're very supportive, Wix. And I said we got nobody. I said you can be too weird.
Yeah.
That's the.
Did you go for the sort of too weird, too punk sort of angle?
No, I'm just too weird, did he? I don't feel that punk. And then a woman said, what do you think Absolute will be like in 15 years' time? And I said, well, there'll be one notable absentee.
Oh, my God.
I would have thought.
Right, that's so depressing.
Sorry, is that too dark for breakfast? Too dark for breakfast! No, it was. I said I don't feel that's any of my business. That's what I said. Dave was very defensive. He didn't suggest I might make it for a second, but he reprimanded her for the insensitivity of her question.
Oh.
And said he hoped she enjoyed bitter coffee from the free birthday mug she was getting. And I said maybe we could give her an urn. That's how it was going that day.
Oh, wow.
It was quite a lark, I must say. And free food after.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I was talking about, it was a sort of radio conference.
Well, you'd
did.
left us on a cliffhanger where you were perusing the free buffet.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, a pre-buffet. When I got into by the way, when I met Dave Berry, I bumped into him just outside the door, and I said 63, and he went, "What?" And they do a competition where you have to pick a number, 1 in 100, and I thought, you never know, they might not have had a winner today.
You caught him off duty, though.
Yeah, it threw him completely. Like when on the way in today in my car, I got a text that's it said,
Come on.
Jenny Seagrove. This was from Kath. And I thought, oh, what is that? And then I realised before I left the house, we were watching the Alan Titchmarsh show on the telly, and a woman was on when we switched it on, and we were both going, oh no, who is that? Who is that? And I was coming in, and I got the Jenny Seagrove text. You know Jenny Seagrove?
Yes, of course I do. Yes. She's before your time,
I
darling.
presumed it sounds like you were being texted your target, one of the
She
four
was
identities.
a popular
It's Seagrove.
actress in
Popular
the
actress.
80s, and she was married to Michael Winner.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Gosh.
I forgot that
I have
bit.
all your Jenny Seagrove facts, should you need them.
Was she Michael? Was she Michael Winner? Was she married to Michael Winner for very long?
Oh, yes.
He struck
yeah.
me as a man that you couldn't be married to for very long.
Well, he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I went
That
on
will stop a lot of
Taskmaster.
marriages, I find.
Yes.
It's in the terms and conditions, to be fair.
I had a in sickness and in health. I had a stress ball that when you squeezed it said, "Calm down, dear."
Oh, that was him.
Wow.
And I took it on Taskmaster, calling it "Dead Man's Voice in a Sphere."
God.
That is possibly the most powerfully naughty's object I can imagine.
Yes.
Frank, do you remember Winner's Dinners as well?
Oh, yes.
He would
when
go to a
it's
restaurant.
Scathing.
And what would he do for it? Would he put a sign up? I think, no, you could cut out a sign saying this is a terrible restaurant or something.
Yeah, he was scathing restaurant reports. But apparently, when he died, she contacted Madame Tussauds to make a lifelike thing to have in the house of him, a life-size thing.
Oh.
She just phoned up and said, make me a winner.
Oh, my God. I can't believe we don't have a sponsor.
Text us now, I can't either. Oh dear. Can I say I had the two texts I got after was next guest Leslie Joseph, and then my final text, and Susan Hampshire. So just saying. So back at the Picture House, Miranda Sire was really nice,
she's great.
and she asked me about my dog. She'd heard on the radio that, in case you don't know, my dog got bitten by another dog last week, and she asked me how she was, and I said, yeah, I'm thinking, I could use the radio show to get together a group of people, to try and track down the owner.
Vigilante, I think the word you're searching for.
And she said, another thing that radio can do, help you form a vigilante group. And it was very good.
Yeah, they were sort of wearing Absolute Radio hoodies.
But I found out something about Dave Berry's power. Absolute that I didn't know. Power that I don't have.
What is it?
Well, I'll tell you after this.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So yeah, Dave Berry let it slip. Because I was bragging about the fact that I get 2 songs of my own choice every hour, and he says, "Oh, I don't get to choose any." And I thought, "Ha Dave Berry." I did point out, to be fair, and he is the loveliest of blokes, but he is a proper radio, 5 mornings a week, and I'm like the Victorian gentleman amateur who comes in on a Saturday morning, 3 hours. But anyway, if there's a song on his playlist he doesn't like, he can have it removed.
Is that right? And has he exerted?
Well, I can't tell you what they were. I'll tell you
No,
off air.
but has he done it?
He has done it.
Oh, Barry, I need to know.
Is
Yeah.
there a sort of maximum number he can remove?
Well, I don't know.
Could he just get it all down to one song? And and here it comes again.
No, you can't,
The
because the
only
no
song.
repeat guarantee, of course.
yeah.
Is it?
Of course,
That
something
holds him back.
ridiculous.
But it didn't. And they announced a new station called Absolute Now, which is just going to play new music, no older than a year old.
Oh wow!
That was a lie. So, sorry, I made that up. I don't know why. I gained nothing from it.
Frank, it's very odd that you just lied for no reason.
No, such a nice lie.
I never
You never
lie.
lie.
I think I thought that'd be great if they'd done that. I'd really have respected.
No, but Frank, you can't just tell lies.
Yeah.
You're one of the most honest people I've ever met in my entire life.
But 98% of the blokes listening to this in Dunlop green flash trainers and a T-shirt, I say, well, I won't be listening to that.
Yeah.
And how much longer will this hangover last? So, you know. Look, I'm talking about the texts I've had this morning. I've had one from my boss's teacher saying, no, it is Nikola Tesla, and it was named after. Definitely not Elon
Oh, that's
Musk.
reassuring.
And
Okay,
Rick
good.
Allen of Def Leppard came a very close second. So I've
Okay.
been corrected by Sir.
Did you also get a text from Wick saying, don't call us?
No, I didn't even get that.
We don't make chainsaws and we don't approve of massacre.
And we also don't approve of random lies.
No, absolute now.
I thought.
It's not a bad idea, is it?
I think maybe you're doing that thing that could sort of happen in where like a sort of a spokesman for the king who can't speak for himself just says something they hope that he does, and it's too embarrassing
Yes.
to go back on it. So they go, "Yes, we will be attending."
Yes, sire.
yes.
You know, I think it speaks very well of you that because you're such a thoroughly honest person, I didn't doubt that for a
No,
minute.
no.
No, but I would have been found out. I think you'll find.
It would have been quite an escapade for you to somehow back this up.
Well, you know, I quoted a poem in an interview with a woman from, I think, The Telegraph, and she said you should do a poetry podcast. And the headline was something like, I'm doing a poetry podcast, Skinner. And then I got contacted and saying, "Oh, come and do it with us" by our owners, Bauer, and then it happened. So that happened not on the strength of a lie, but of an error,
Yeah.
an exaggeration. So you know, who knows? There might be an absolute. I could be working on Absolute Now this time next year. I know I'd be more at home on Absolute then,
Yeah.
but no, I listen to lots of new music. In fact, I listened to some brand new music the other night in a context which I think you'll find a little surprising. And I'll share with you after this, baby.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I went to Hackney Earth
Oh, yes.
on Wednesday night. Do you know it? You probably played there,
I'm
Pierre.
familiar with it.
No, I read too many books about World War II to play Hackney Earth. I think I'm not cool enough.
Oh, okay.
I
a very
have
cool
done a
venue.
gig there,
Yeah,
though.
it
I did a
seemed cool.
book. I interviewed someone there, I think. I know what you mean. It's very... it's
Was it
very
Jenny
deep.
Seagrove?
No, it was Catherine Lyon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with its work. What were you doing there, please?
Well, Stephen Wilson, who I actually opened the show with today. If you're not on a Decade channel, I opened the show with his song "What Life Brings" from his new album. His new album came out yesterday, the 29th.
Oh, wow.
And on the 20...
You're listening to Absolute now.
Yeah, on the exactly. On the 27th. But this is what happened. And I don't really know his work. Kathy's absolutely obsessed with him. And he was in a band called The Porcupine Tree. Anyway, so I'm not pretending to know about him. So I just turned up because of, love, and Boz came as well. And I didn't know that in this place, Hackney Earth, there's no seats or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like massive tiered wooden floor, and you just sit on hard wood.
It's like a coliseum.
Yeah, it was like a sort of, it was like
It's
that.
got a quite medieval feel.
Yeah, it's like a mass naughty step. I felt we were in trouble from the beginning.
You get to sit there and listen to Stephen Wilson.
Yeah.
Think about what you've done.
No, but the thing was, and there was lots of men with those. What are those massive things that men
I
drink?
beg your pardon.
Those massive drinks they have.
Pierre?
That the men have.
Yeah.
What drinks do men have?
Pints. There was blokes with those. Honestly, since I stopped drinking a long time, when I see a bloke with a pint now, or a woman, but mainly it's blokes, I think, you don't want all that. You're honestly going to drink all that?
So you look and you see a guy with a pint and you think, look at that massive drink.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I honestly think that I can't help but thinking they're just showing off.
It's a lot of liquid.
It's a load, and then they went and got another one after.
Frank, what about when I went to the darts at Ali Pali?
Unbelievable.
We'll get onto that another time. But when I went up to the darts, I went to buy some drinks, and they said, I'm afraid it's a 2-pint minimum.
Yeah.
Because I only wanted a half.
Wow.
2-pint minimum.
You have to get a bucket of beer.
That lasts me a week now, 2 pints of anything.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I like that. He sounded like a sort of teetotal, naive American debutante. Wow, these men had such large drinks.
but that,
Couldn't possibly still
What
be
are they
thirsty after the
called?
but
last
the
one.
fact that I used to drink them, I find astonishing.
Yeah.
They're so big.
They're
To have sort of
huge.
5 of them. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, anyway, so that was happening. And then
What was happening? Pints?
Yeah.
Men with pints. And I think there was a couple of women with
What
pints.
were the
as
men
well.
like? Were they your
Nice.
kind of men? Yeah, they're nice people, though.
Music people generally I find really nice. I was talking to some nice blokes from Cannock and stuff like that, and a bloke who'd worked with Stephen Wilson. It was good. I'd spoke to everyone who sat around me, and most of whom had bigger bombs than me, so it was all right for them. But this is what happened is... no, I'll tell you after this. You won't believe it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, so we sat on these hard giant steps
Big old stoops.
for 64 minutes
Gosh.
in more or less total darkness. And they played his new album.
Lovely.
So we listened to his new album. That was it. There wasn't a band.
Oh, what
They
did he
just played it.
Did
They
he go over
He didn't
and
come
press
out.
play?
No one came out. They just played the new album.
You had a
So we
big-
sat and listened to it.
And a big listening party.
Yeah.
Oh.
It reminds me when I called a mate of mine who I was in Birmingham. I hadn't seen him for years and years, and he was the one who didn't leave. He stayed living with his parents. And I said to him, "How you doing? Should we go out and have something to eat?" And he said, "No, come round mine. We can listen to some music." He was about 50. I thought, well, you used to say that when you were 15, but it was like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
Was there anything on the stage?
well, there was some like speakers and things.
Was there a man looking after it? all?
Were there
No, man.
No projections or
No,
lights?
nothing visual. We just sat and listened to the album.
What did you do?
Well, I looked longingly at one of the few signs of illumination, which was exit. The thing was, I could tell it was a really good album, but
Sure.
I haven't sat and listened to an album all the way through since I don't know when. I realised that. I listened to like 4 or 5 tracks and I did something else and then. So it was quite a big thing, sitting on a hard floor listening to a whole. Especially also, and the first time you hear an album, and there's lots of people who listen to this show into music. most of my favourite albums, the first time I heard it, I thought, yeah, it's good now. Yeah, and then 2 or 3 listens, and then, and then it becomes the love of your life. If you like one straight off, you usually stop listening to it in a month.
Yeah.
Like People. Just the same. So I thought this is a good album, but I listened to it all in the dark with some people from Cannock is hard work. And so, yeah, I struggled a bit, to be honest. And then he came out and did and he did like half an hour live music. It was brilliant. Yeah. And I thought, I wish you'd just done this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A gig.
But yeah, that's what I really wanted.
A gig here at the venue.
But I think it's a very cool place, as
that
you
we
say.
bought tickets for.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't think of anyone, even, my great loves, who I could listen to a whole album on a hard floor with some men from Cannock and not think, I wish this would end
from Cannock. It's not their fault.
I can't imagine anything more stressful from the point of view of the artist than standing in the dark backstage alone.
Well, yeah.
As a bunch of people silently listen to your work.
Kat said to me, she went to the toilet after, and there was a woman in there sobbing. And her friends was consoling her, and she was saying, "I'm sorry, I've never heard anything so beautiful. I just can't."
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say she was like, I just even a cushion, I would have.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've got a trapped nerve.
Yeah. I wish I hadn't taken that weight loss drug. I miss my butt.
I was going to say, would you consider a pair of sort of recreational buttocks for future gigs at Hackney Earth?
I didn't even know such gigs existed.
It doesn't help you. I've sat on those very same hard steps.
Yeah.
I was in agony.
Yeah.
And as you know, I have a certain amount of junk in the trunk. It doesn't help us.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
I'm happy to bring it up.
Yeah.
And I will.
What am I, Checkpoint Charlie?
I will tell you, Frank, it doesn't help us.
But, like I say, when he did the live gig, it was really amazing. And then I listened to the album yesterday. I thought, yeah, I was right. It was great. But I listened to like 5 tracks. I think like albums, films, television programmes that are long, I treat like panettone. I have a mouthful and then I put it back in the box. But I'd recommend it. I'd recommend, it's called, what's it called? The Harmony Codex. Check it out.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215, follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Okay. Frank,
You bet your sweet bippy. I'll tell you what, I should tell the people listening that when we're not on air, we've just been talking about Strictly and what that was like. Picking out, I think so far we've had winner, worst dancer, and who will have some sort of physical relationship first. And of course my continual observation that incredibly Craig can't dance.
Frank, I was going to say exactly
He
the same.
can't dance. I don't know how this happened, but it's his worst. I can't dance, and he's no better than I.
Is that what you say sitting on your couch? He's no better than I.
Exactly.
I feel for him though, Pierre, because they make him do it now. It's kind of, they used to just be able to sit back in their velvet blazers and not get involved, but they have to get their hands dirty now. They're contractually obliged.
Well, he handles dancing the way I do. See, you look as if you don't mean it, that you're fooling around. And then people think, oh, well, he's not really trying. So he does all the funny faces and that. And I do that myself, so I don't want anyone to think this is as good as it gets.
No, you want people to look at your deliberately silly dancing and think, well, someday he'll unleash the real dancing.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure it'll be brilliant.
You know, like when you see an abstract expression expressionist painting and someone says my kid could do that, and then you show them that artist's work from their early years and it's detailed, figurative, amazing stuff. That's what I want them to think, that my dad's is my abstract expressionist period. But I can really do the steps if I had to. We'll hear that analogy, I think, from Motzi sometime soon. Yeah. I got the feeling then Pierre didn't know who Motzi was.
Do you know who Motzi is? It's all right if you don't.
Vaguely. I have to admit, when you guys discuss Strictly, I do feel like sort of Prince Charles at a football game going, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no,
Into the goal, you say.
Oh, welcome to my world, medieval cathedral, to you two.
Yeah, what about when you two discuss emotions? How do you think I feel? I don't, of course, is the answer.
Frank, we've heard from our wonderful loyal readers.
Okay,
Susan Smith has been in touch.
right.
She says, "Good morning, enjoying the show as ever. For the record, Jenny Seagrove, who we were talking about earlier,
Yes.
never married Michael Winner. Though
Living in sin.
Yeah, over the brush.
that was something Frank's mum used to say. I still don't quite know what it means. Though they were in a long-term relationship.
Okay, well, that's fair enough.
As Frank is a football fan, I'm surprised he didn't mention that since 1994, Jenny has been with... You aware? Do you know who she's with?
No.
I knew this. Theatre producer Bill Kenwright, chairman of Everton FC.
Oh, really?
They've not tied the knot either. No judgment. And Susan finishes by saying, "I once had the
When you
great..."
say that, do you mean he hasn't had a vasectomy?
Please.
Sorry. I know, Bill. He's very nice.
He's lovely.
actually.
I once had the great pleasure of meeting Jenny at the Main Chance MANE horse sanctuary near Godalming, which she runs. She's a wonderful human being. Best wishes, Susie, brackets, not married either.
No.
All the old ways are dying out. What's happening to the confetti business? They're having to
Yeah.
put it in cannons for the Stop Oil people.
They've militarised.
Yeah,
It's all gone orange
it has
now.
recycled.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Well, I'll tell you, my favourite maniacal laughing is My Way.
Is the maniacal?
He says, "I find it all so amusing, is it?"
Oh, does he say that?
I think there is a
No, he
brief laugh.
laughed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite
I think
gross.
there are some versions. Possibly it's just some live
Anarchy
version.
in the UK, of course. Right now.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Yeah.
good.
Best maniacal laughing in a song, 8, 12, 15.
Yeah.
We've got to be missing some Halloween-y sort of tracks with some maniacal
Oh,
laughing. And surely,
yes.
like, Monster Mash or something has some in.
Well, there's the...
What? Bobby, Boris, Pickett and the Crypt Kickers. You mean that version?
Frank, what's the Elvis
I
song?
was working in the lab late one night.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't remember. There might be a bit of that ML in it.
That would be a good studio note. We need to bump up the ML on this track.
Exactly.
It's crucial.
Oh, man. ML29. Little sticker on the side. Yellow sticky. Okay, what else?
Lindsay Washington has been in touch. Frank,
Is there a comma in that?
No.
Lindsay Washington.
She's not from Washington.
No,
Okay.
Is she any relation?
I don't know.
There is a Washington County Durham, actually, which I think Colin Soggett came from. The former West Brom star.
Of course.
Once again, can't believe we don't have a sponsor. Lindsay Washington.
Yes.
Frank, I just heard your lie about Absolute Now radio channel.
I did own up straight
You
away.
did.
Yeah.
But it would be an excellent radio station to play just songs from the Now That's What I Call Music albums.
Oh, no. We've already got those. And also, isn't that all music?
Yeah. It is funny to text in, "I've just heard your lie."
Yeah, but...
Oh, God.
Yeah. I wonder if you get that much on LBC.
Can I just say, I've just heard your lies.
No, but now that's
I'd like-
what I call music. When they're compiling those and they're having the meeting, Are the songs brought forward that they don't call music, and so they don't make it?
And they go, that's not music.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's out.
Do they put it to a vote?
I think
what's
they
the song?
just...
Like, does someone say, no, I'd like to submit... I mean, I'm sorry, I can't vote for Billy Ocean. I have very strong views.
I think they probably say, what's the cheapest collection of things we can get together?
Can I just say, our readers, within the last minute, we
Yeah.
had 3 texts in about maniacal laugh.
Oh, brilliant. What's hot?
Straight away, we've missed an obvious one. Jenny, a first-time reader, contactor from Carefully. Thriller.
Oh, where does it come in on that?
Right at the start, I think.
Oh, does
Oh,
it?
it's Vincent Price,
It's
isn't
Vincent
Is it
Price.
Vincent Price, who also, I think, does the voice on Alice Cooper's Black Widow
it? He
track.
did a lot of work.
He did
Yes,
a
he
lot of
does
that
do
sort
the
of
laughter
thing.
with the funk of 30,000 years, I think.
Well, I saw the
40,000?
Deep Purple, or some of Deep Purple, did a musical called The Butterfly Ball, which I went to see at the Albert Hall with a mate when we still lived in Birmingham, a rare trip to London. And Vincent Price was the live narrator on the night. I think Twiggy was female lead.
There's a lot of the sort of hammer horror guys guesting on albums and things. Christopher Lee did that sort of metal album.
Did
He
he?
just did a big voiceover as sort of Charlemagne. I slain the Saxon men.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
you do it. If ever they need to re-record it, man, I think you just did your audition.
Yeah.
And it was top hole.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We got a lot of maniacal laughter.
Okay, give me some.
Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, of course.
I don't know.
It starts immediately.
I
with-
wish we had
with manic
tracks
laughter.
of all these. In an ideal world, in 10 years' time, I know, but someone else will be benefiting from. We'll be able to say the name of a track and just play that bit.
You're listening to Absolute Radio Maniacal.
Yeah,
We only play the most maniacal laughs.
Yeah.
all
Although
the
I
time.
can remember some of these. So G. Viggy has got in touch. Ebenezer Good.
He's a
Do you
good.
remember-
He's a good.
Is Ebenezer Good? And then I do remember there is a little bit of laughter.
Yeah.
Quite sort
I
of
suppose.
unpleasant.
Well, they're probably delighted.
Well,
Yeah.
also they're strung out, right?
Ecstatic, you could say.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying Mama by Genesis. Phil
Oh,
Collins.
do you remember that one? I can tell you exactly how that laughter
I
goes.
never got into.
It goes ha ha ha. Oh. It's exactly.
Oh, really?
Yes, honestly,
Was
David
that
Bill.
before or after he watched someone being deliberately drowned?
Can you explain that, please?
Sorry?
It's an urban myth thing. Frank, quickly
There's an
explain.
urban myth, apparently. There's what's the song? Phil Collins song.
It's called In the Air Tonight.
Oh, and this
it's-
is that thing where
there's a
people
line
do
that
their
goes,
best to
I
explain
watched you
songs.
drown in someone and didn't say anything
doesn't say-
about it.
It doesn't
I
say
stood
that.
on the bank watching the bubbles disappear. I was near,
doesn't say
but I
that.
did nothing about it. That's the verse.
So it's that thing where people take poetic lyrics and go, well, I don't understand them, so I'm going to make up an insane practical
No, he
theory
basically
about why.
says
Well-
one lyric where he says, and if I saw you drowning, I wouldn't lend a hand.
How
I'd
does he
see-
say that? Not
Yeah.
nice.
That's all he says.
He doesn't
Not
say,
nice.
I saw you on the riverbank and I remember you drowning someone.
I'm sure that's how I remember it.
But,
Maybe it's because you saw him live. and
You
they
know,
just
I
did a
ought to
special
be
version.
on social media.
and as a result, people have suggested
Right.
that he was directly referencing someone in the crowd. That's
Yeah.
what people say.
Well, and
Oh.
the same sort of people who would think, oh, well, you know, Freddie Mercury, he killed a man.
Oh, yeah.
Shot him with his gun.
Yeah.
I think-
It's what he confessed to his mother.
Well, Phil Collins had to come out afterwards and say, look, it was about my marriage, mate, or something.
So he says, if
Yeah,
you know,
turned out he drowned his wife.
it's the theory the police immediately moved on to.
Yeah, exactly.
We heard it from him firsthand.
And I believe he was involved in the Great Train Robbery. My
He
memory
was.
serves me
He
well.
played Buster in the
He did.
days when hardened criminals were lovable figures in
Yeah.
Disney films.
No, I think they did a Hatton Garden film recently,
did.
which is like Larry Lamb and lovable Cockney types.
Funny old blokes.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna rob some bullion and we won't give it back. It's all like that. Yeah.
Up the apples and jewels.
Oh, fantastic.
205 clarifies that the maniacal laugh on Ebenezer Good is Sid James, Darren and Barry St Edmunds.
Very good.
Fellow South African.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Sid James.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
Get it on.
I can't say the other thing he's famous for.
No, don't say that.
All the
Frank.
drownings.
Exactly.
Frank, why is it some criminals are loved?
Yes. Well, I think if you don't do anything too violent,
Oh, is that
I think
what it
people
is?
like the way people applaud lottery winners
Yeah.
and like to see them in the paper drinking champagne, whereas people who work for their money are generally despised.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Apparently, Gorillaz have 2 songs with maniacal laughter:
Yes.
Clint Eastwood and "Feeling Good."
Feel good.
Oh yeah.
Feel good, Inc. Come on, Harriet and Charlotte.
Yes.
Okay.
I remembered Feel Good, Inc. because it's right at the start, but I'd forgotten about Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
You
well,
must never forget about
Don't
Clint
ever.
Eastwood.
Never, ever forget about Clint Eastwood.
No one puts Clint Eastwood in the corner.
No.
I had a friend who was directed by Clint Eastwood in
Oh,
a
yeah.
movie.
Really?
And Clint Eastwood said on day one, "There's a golf tournament I'd like to play in on the 17th. So I'm not planning on any second takes."
Wow.
And
I respect that.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
think James Woods was in it, and he said, "I need to do that." No, it was fine.
As he chewed on the little cigarillo.
Well, he said he sat.
golf tournament.
He sat on a sort of leather chair with all his films on that someone had given him, and he used that as his director's chair. And he went out for a meal with them night one and said, "Okay, ask the questions."
Did he?
And they were all allowed to say, "Oh, what was it like when you shot that? Well,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a great bit." And he just got all that. That was it. They couldn't do that anymore.
Wow.
Got it all out the way one go.
I think you should do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, ask the question.
Yeah.
I know what they would be.
My favourite Clint moment is when he berated an empty chair, pretended that Barack Obama was sitting in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
just
dear.
shouting at a chair, and he did it as if it was a really sort of clever
Oh
thing.
yes. Is
Like-
he a bit in my cold dead hand?
Yes, he is. Yeah,
Okay. fine.
Aye,
can't spend that long around revolvers and not.
Yes. Yeah.
They all go the same
And
way.
not to end up with some residue fibres on you. Guys, Mark Kay has been in touch. I put a spell on you. Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Oh yes, that's got quite a lot, and
Off
that's
the scale, Mark
and that's
says.
got genuinely ML, definitely
Yeah.
maniacal.
Yes.
I like the only one Frank's familiar with is Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Now, Screaming Jay Hawkins sort of pioneered that sort of shock rock horror thing that Alice Cooper and Kiss and all those guys went for. He was, I think it was Dr. John who had his friend's shrunken head around his neck on a chain.
Yeah, there was a sort of big voodoo thing going on.
Yeah.
Was he a proper doctor?
You don't get that with Harry Styles.
There's the other members of One Direction hanging off his belt.
Oh man, yeah, and him saying, "Yeah, they all went one direction." Down.
Just a really sort of poppy, preppy correspondent on E! Entertainment. Harry Styles debuted a new human sacrifice aesthetic.
I'd love it.
Frank Skinner,
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, do you remember talking about being tricked by a smell?
Tricked by a smell.
You walked into a shop.
Oh yes, I went into the big giant sweet shop on Princess Street in Edinburgh, and I saw a man cranking up a machine that made it smell nice. So you
Yeah,
bought sweets.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that, as far as I'm aware, Subway, that's why they heat up the bread in store.
Right.
Get that
yes,
bread
you
smell.
did. Yeah.
And they do it often in high-end designer stores as well. They'll
Yeah.
pump
The smell of
Yeah.
leather.
Affluent fragrance.
Yeah.
Affluent smelling fragrance throughout the store.
Well, we've had a good
JJ
response.
Sports. No, carry on.
We've had a response to that from the astonishingly named Carac Proust.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I love characters.
From
Is
Somerset.
this a smell of Madeleine that they pumped into a cake shop he used to work in?
Absolute radio. I love that.
Yes. Hi, Frank and Emily and Pierre. I apologise for being a week or two behind on this, but you recently spoke about stores.
Never apologise
No.
for that, because we live in an age now where chronology has basically disappeared.
Yes. You spoke about stores that have machines which they use to fill their emporia with artificial odours.
Yes.
To entice in unsuspecting passers-by. I wondered whether
Can I just remind anyone who didn't hear that, was obvious they didn't hear it, I won't be reminding them. Nevertheless, I said in the shop, when I first went in the shop, I smell the sweets, and it makes me want to get some sweets. And the next time I went in, I saw them cranking up the machine that made me feel that.
Yeah, like a cartoon character.
Okay, carry on.
So, I wondered whether you were aware that the fabulous coffee smell you only ever notice when opening a jar of instant coffee for the first time
Oh, yeah.
is actually artificial.
Shut
up.
up.
Yeah, I won't. And made in West Bromwich,
What? Now, hold on a minute.
home of fake coffee stink. West Brom.
Yeah, that's what it says on the sign when you drive in.
Well, welcome
Home
to
of,
West
home
Bromwich,
of coffee smell.
the home of fake coffee stink.
Twinned with chicory essence. It's a German town.
It's made in West Bromwich, so we're
Hang on,
told.
the smell that we're referring
But
to
isn't it the
is-
smell coming from that brown stuff in the bottom of the jar?
Oh, you poor naive thing.
Oh,
So does
no.
coffee not smell?
I don't think instant coffee, it's all freeze-dried and stuff, so it makes sense that they
so
would
they
inject a
put
bit
a
of...
coffee smell into that top vacuum.
Apparently
This
The
actually-
decompression chamber at the top of
Yeah.
a jar.
This makes sense because she's absolutely right. It would be odourless, wouldn't it?
Freeze-dried. Made in West Bromwich by a company called Robinson Brothers Limited.
Okay, well, very false front. No suggestion of false smells there, is there?
No, you'd want it to be called something more on the nose. As
Yeah.
it were.
It's very,
Exactly.
you're right. It's like if aliens landed and were trying to sort of
Yeah.
integrate. We'll call ourselves
Yeah.
Robinson.
Hello, I work for Robinson Brothers Limited.
If you had a fake
yes,
if
okay.
you had a fake smells company, what would you call them? 8, 12, 15.
Yes. Not only that, but natural gas, which is naturally odorless, is also unnaturally scented to make
No.
it more detectable.
No,
in your
I knew
home.
that because then you don't blow yourself up.
Made by the same West Brom company.
Wow,
All roads lead to Robinson Brothers.
I've never been so proud.
Home of smells.
Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know they were manufactured deliberately.
Is that
What
the-
other fake smells do they do?
Could that be the
Robinsons?
city motto of West Brom? Can you smell that? West Brom, can you smell that?
What other fake smells do you think they do?
I think we have to.
well.
To move on to the news.
Quickly, Carrick Proust just says, perhaps there's a case for referring to your hometown as Fake Pong City.
Oh, it's good. That's good, but it's not right.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've been talking about the fake smell company in West Bromwich.
What, Robinson Bros? Yeah.
And our fabulous readers have been sending in some suggestions for what they could call themselves.
Yes, we thought they could come up with a cleverer, I'm assuming, punning title
What
than
about-
Robinson
Yes.
Brothers.
Well, they have.
Okay.
Redanger 66, we'll get back to that at some
Yeah.
other stage, has gone for odour cheaters.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that's
I'm
very
really
good.
happy with that.
We've had a few people send in variations on faux Roma or Foda,
Yeah, Jim Wilson has said
Oh, I
Foda.
see, yeah.
I quite like Foda.
Faux Paris
Oh, good.
from Ultra Magnus,
I'm not
Good.
sure. Julian Clark has gone for the slightly more basic Whiffo.
Whiffo. That's
Yeah.
Whiffo. It's a lot more English than faux Paris.
It's a lot more brains
I
faggots.
can't find the pun in it.
It's just
No, they haven't gone for a pun. Not
Is it
everyone.
Wilco?
Based on Biffo the bear.
or Wilco,
Oh,
maybe.
Never heard of it.
R.I.P. You get all your smells from Smeggles.
Smiggle.
Smellgles. Smeggles.
Okay.
Yes, there's some we can't I can't read out.
No, don't.
Pongerific.
Matt says not to be sniffed at.
That's all right.
Yeah, but it's not true because it is to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good, but it's not true.
Yeah, that's why you don't get cocaine shops
Oh my
called not to be sniffed at. Do you get cocaine shops? You probably do, but
No.
they pretend to be. They sell overseas sweets. Any road up.
cocaine shops on breakfast show. Please.
Don't say it.
So,
Come on, I can't
I've
cope
got
with the
one more
gaps.
quickly. Okay, will you listen to this? Alex has suggested return to centre. Look, if you see it written, it works. SCENT.
Oh, centre, yes.
Centre.
Not centaur.
Yes.
Centre.
Yeah.
Return to centre.
What about if I send a threatening letter to the Robinson Brothers saying stop making sense, which was the whole talking heads thing.
Frank, I think you should visit as a local dignitary. I think when you get your, what are you getting? The Lord of the Manor?
Well, no, somebody else bought the Lord of the Manor.
Oh, you did Google then?
Yeah, I didn't go in for it though. In the end,
Why not?
it went for 25 grand. Apparently, Lord
Gosh.
of West Bromwich.
Would you have paid that?
I think it went for 28 to be precise.
Oh,
no,
wow.
it's crazy. It's just
You can get your own free smells.
yeah, exactly.
Don't
You
need to
can
be
say
the-
that again.
The
At my age,
I saw the fear in your eyes where I said we've got a lot of texts in about the smells.
yeah. Oh, people. So why don't they just say it to my face?
Frank, what do you think of Tom P?
What, Tom Petty?
No, not Tom Petty. Tom P says non-diffume.
Yeah.
He's tried to do a nom-de-plume.
So they don't defume,
Yeah.
No.
they fume.
They
Yeah.
fume.
Yeah. I think maybe we'll leave these. Yeah. I mean, well done, everyone.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered it.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Now, Frank, there are not a lot of trends that I can relate to.
No.
To be perfectly
Unlike
honest
Frank.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Smiggle. I'm not like you, Frank. I'm not walking into Smiggle and getting the latest sniffy pens
The pen. No, I know.
and bum bags.
I know. I'm a bit of a dedicated follower of fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But for once, there was a big old trend that I thought, now this is a bit of me. I like this. And I saw that it started on TikTok, this trend, where a lady, the Reverend Kelsey Lewis Vincent, which is a hell of a name, saw an Instagram reel that said something along the lines of, women have no idea how often the men in their lives think about the Roman Empire.
Right.
And I thought, yes, here we go.
I'm presuming she's an Anglican reverend.
Yes.
Because obviously
Yes.
in my little group where we have casual chit-chat about Herod the Tetrarch, the Roman Empire crops up quite a lot.
Yes, well, she's American, so yeah, so she's
I
definitely
mean,
a little
when I
further
read
away
this,
from it.
I thought, I dream of the Roman Empire working with these two. Cathedrals.
Well, also this week, Hadrian's Wall has never been on the news as much as
That's
it has
true.
this week. So I should think the whole nation is thinking of a Roman Empire.
Well, so inspired by this, she asked her significant other if, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And without missing a beat, he said, every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this started a TikTok trend where women would film themselves going up to their male partners and saying, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And recording the responses. And the internet has been surprised at how many men say some variation of either every day or, a few times a week.
Can
Yeah.
I say what I particularly liked? I got into a very specialist genre of these how often do you think about the Roman Empire videos, which was the dads.
Okay.
And the reason I liked the dads was that I felt they were less in it for the likes, perhaps.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They were being more covertly filmed and were a little bit gittish in their
Okay.
response. And I particularly like the Australian dad who responded. He said, I don't think about the Roman Empire, but I do often think about Constantinople. And then there was another man who got quite angry with his daughter and said, do you mean the Roman Empire or the Holy Roman Empire?
Oh.
And I thought, good friend for Frank.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well,
I'm sort of with Dr. Samuel Johnson, as you know, is a literary hero of mine, who once began an essay by saying, someone said to me the other day that his dog sat staring into space for long periods and couldn't possibly imagine what it was thinking about. I do not have to go outside my own species to have such thoughts. So it's great news, isn't it, that men are thinking about the Roman Empire?
Broadly, I think so. I saw this trend before this happened, so maybe my guard was up, but my partner, she came into the living room and said, as sort of quite cautiously, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah.
And I will give either of you a tenner, or anyone in the studio a tenner, if you can guess what my answer was. It was, to be fair, it's a bit of a trick question, because my answer was not a straight response.
Was it a bit Australian dad?
It was a bit Australian
Was it a
dad.
question?
Yes.
It was a question.
I think
That's right. I answered the question with a question, like a sage.
I think you responded with some sort of correction built into the
I
question.
think it'll be whether it includes the period before
Yes.
Augustus, the first emperor.
That's exactly right, Frank.
Whether you're including that
Exactly.
You're depressingly close.
There will be some historical. There'll be a date involved.
Yeah, it'll be the Google Earth tightening the focus. I want a specific. Go on, give us it.
I said, which one? Which I stand by.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that? So what is that? How are you?
Western Roman, Eastern Roman.
Yeah, well, there's a time they split and had two emperors.
Well, this is
yeah,
it.
yeah. But they had that long period where I think people would call it the Roman Empire when there wasn't an emperor.
How
Yes.
often do you think about the Roman Empire, you two? What about poor Kath over in North London having to ask, how often do you think about Zygons?
Yeah, I would say, generally speaking, Kath brings up ancient history a lot more often than I do.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Pierre admitted, well, there's no shame in it, so I shouldn't use the word admitted, but you were revealing how you'd answered that question.
Yes, so this...
How often do you think of the Roman Empire, Pierre? And Pierre said, which one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason I said which one was partially to appear arch and superior, but also partially because I curate my social media to suit my tastes. I'll level with you. I
Yeah.
like my echo chamber. I've decorated it. I've made it all nice.
It looks fabulous.
Thank you.
I must admit I liked it as well.
You
Yeah.
can.
So my Twitter feed
Velvet.
is...
I mean, who'd have thought velvet?
Yeah.
Pierre, obviously.
Some velvet.
Certainly. My Twitter feed is full of newly unearthed Byzantine coins and Syrian mosaics and things. So in fairness, one of the reasons I do think about the Roman Empire, whichever one, quite a lot, is that it is popping up on my phone. And the reason I said which one was because there's some Byzantine archaeological stuff had popped up, as it does on your Twitter feed.
Yes.
That and furious discrimination.
I don't have a Twitter feed, and thank God I don't have an X feed.
Oh, no.
With them contacting me regularly.
I would amend
Probably be
that
friendlier
question.
than Twitter.
Yeah, probably. Less grudging.
I think they should amend that question for Pierre to, when don't you think about the Roman Empire? Frank Skinner, I would ask you, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
I think about the Anglo-Saxons more.
I
Yeah.
think so.
But I think
bit decadent for you, Rome.
They used to say that men think about the physicals every 7 seconds. Yeah. So
Yes.
nowadays I've got quite a lot of gaps to fill in my thinking.
You're casting around for
So
anything.
any historical period I can get my hands on to fill that terrible void that the physicals has left
Pretty
behind.
dark for breakfast, please.
Oh, duh.
I have to say though, I don't see you as a Roman. I think you have different Roman empires. I think your Roman empires are, frankly, it's ex-RSC actors in polo neck saying, "So, doctor."
Yes. I did watch just this last week. Before this came out, I just watched Mary Beard's documentary on Caligula.
He was problematic, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, she didn't like him.
No. It would be interesting if she came out as a strong Caligula fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
Caligulist.
idea. If her,
A Caligulist.
Is that how she ended it? I didn't like him.
Yeah, I don't like him. Oh, I had no idea she was from the West Midlands. She's been involved in this
She has.
incredibly. Now, this is what I mean. In the modern world, I think I've got a handle on something, and then it slips away from me. Mary Beard seemed unhappy that people were thinking about the Roman Empire regularly, but that's been her life's quest.
Yes.
To make us think about that more.
I think she has been maybe put off by some of the videos which are a certain type of very thick-necked American man who thinks about the Roman Empire in a less than good way.
What she seemed to be suggesting, if I'm correct, that she felt their motives were based on, I guess, the sort of slight He-Man associations with the Roman
Gladiator.
Empire.
It's very, very hard, as we know, to guess people's motives.
Well,
And you do sort of want to say to Mary Beard, look, do you want all of these incorrigible jocks thinking about history or not?
Exactly.
We're very lucky they're thinking about anything historical.
What I would say to her is, look, I agree, as you say, that it was a violent and patriarchal and oppressive society, which questions morality and making a living out of it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Ruth Jordan, how often does Frank think about the Venerable Bede?
More often, probably, than I think about, because a lot of the things I know about the Anglo-Saxon, well, a lot of things anybody knows about him is via the Venerable Bede
Right.
and his, what's it called, ecclesiastical history of
The English
etc.
people.
Yes.
You see, Dame Mary Beard, I do hate to challenge her. However,
In the arena.
in the arena,
In the
in the
Colosseum.
gladiatorial macho
Oh,
arena.
I tell you what I learnt the other day. What about this? That thumbs up meant death.
Yeah.
Yes, the Roman emperors.
Yeah, but I thought it was thumbs down meant
Oh, I
death.
see.
Thumbs up meant death, and if they wanted him to live, they didn't hold that. They just had the fist, and the thumb wasn't raised.
They would raise the thumb as in, go on, chop his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't thumbs up as in, no, I like him.
No, yes,
He did well.
Imagine how horrible that moment must have been when you saw the thumb and you thought, is it going to go down? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd have just been terrified. It was yet another comic doing a PowerPoint presentation.
That doesn't mean Paul McCartney is secretly ordering people's
No,
demise.
I really hope not. That'd be terrible news.
No, he's vegetarian.
Speaking of meandering thought, which I think this is based on, I read this week that psychologists are saying that children with imaginary friends is a much rarer phenomenon than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Imaginary friends are actually an endangered species.
Why is that?
Screen time is what they say.
Yeah.
Is that you need a lot of just sitting, thinking to come up, to have the imagination that can develop someone so real that you take them to be your actual friend. That's gone. That's gone with, while we're in the queue, you can watch a couple of Peppa Pigs.
Well, I've had to explain to young people what daydreaming was.
Yeah, daydreaming is another victim.
They don't know that.
I've stopped with it personally.
Me too, Frank. Well, you did some wonderful things with your daydreaming.
I was player manager at Barcelona.
You were?
Until I missed a penalty in the Champions League final, but I was heavily strapped at the time. I was, and I stood there. It's actually hit the post, outside of the post. I actually went through all this.
Yeah.
It's good to sort of build in your own kind of dramatic failure to your own daydream.
There's plenty of that, yeah.
You wanted it to be realistic.
Yeah, it's the sign of a humble man, I think, is to build in
Well,
your
there was
own.
a time for about 2 years, every time I was on the toilet, I was also on Parkinson being interviewed.
Yeah.
And when I went on...
What's his first question? Why are you on the toilet?
Yeah. His first question was, what is that? What is that?
Robinson Brothers.
Drive.
Are you from West Bromwich?
So when I went on there, I started by telling him this. This is the first time I spoke to you, not on the toilet. It went better on the toilet. Put it that way.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
I was sad about Mary Beard and her not approving of men thinking of the Roman
Well,
Empire.
how would she explain my, and I'm going to go obsession, with Henry VIII?
Yeah.
Violent, brutal misogynist, and I heart him, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I champion gingers through all the ages.
Yes.
And I like him during his gouty, irritable period.
Yeah.
Far more than I like when he was young, dashing and learning Latin and French. I like old bad
When
Henry.
he used to actually not just preside over jousting tournaments, but he used to take part. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't
It's
it?
mad.
But that's a bit like when Idi Amin was the undisputed heavyweight champion of Uganda.
Yes.
He was the undisputed everything, because who disputed with him? Yeah. No, I just think if you're interested in history, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, don't look a gift gladiator in the mouth.
No. Although you can spoil it. I was a member of the Anglo-Saxon Society. And it used
I
to
enjoy the sound of those parties.
Yeah, well, the magazine used to always open with the disclaimer is that we are concerned with Anglo-Saxon history from the period to blah, blah, blah. We do not see it as a racial type,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah.
When we say that we're proud members of the Anglo-Saxon Society, we're not saying it in a sort of Civil War era Tennessee sort of way.
No, we're not. We're saying we like
With the
reading about...
We can actually read the
Ethelred.
runes. We don't necessarily just have them tattooed on our faces.
As we say in the Anglo-Saxon Society, get a rune!
Oh my God. Frank, with the Anglo-Saxon magazine, who were the cover stars for that?
They
What
were
sort of cover
usually
girls?
artifacts, to be honest.
Lots of people.
Don't call them that. They're old, respected academics. How dare
I'd
you.
love to see a copy of that. What were the cover lines? Do they have puns and
I'll
things?
bring a couple in,
Please
if you
do.
like.
They could have picked some human stars, Professor Simon Keynes.
They didn't really have academics on the cover.
Oh, did they have art?
They don't want to put people off with anything that looked modern.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Dance. There could have been loads.
Richard dance?
I'm just naming people who taught me.
Richard Craig can't dance. I'm going to start
poor
a band.
Craig.
Something some 11-year-old writing last week said, what can we call our band? You know, you can get Dead Can Dance, that band.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
have Craig Can't Dance as a band name. I like it.
Poor Craig.
Levi Roach.
But
Sorry.
he's done well.
Frank, who's
Stop
going
it
to
now.
win? Who's going to win Strictly Come Dancing, by the way?
Oh,
I trust you on
don't
this.
know
Okay,
yet.
I'll come back to you on that.
You
Thank
need someone who's average at the moment and who steadily climbs upward.
Oh, okay.
Don't start too high. That's my advice.
I'll tell you who's going to win. The British public.
Oh, I love this character.
Yeah.
Sort of Second World War.
How
sort
much
of,
do they pay for those votes?
Can I tell you what I think about 3 times a week?
yeah.
Go on.
This is my Roman Empire. I know we've got to wrap up, but I want to leave you with this, Frank. You know, genuinely what my Roman Empire is?
Go on.
Is that time when you said you were hungry in the back of a cab and the cab driver said, "Oh, I've got a sandwich," and you said, "Oh yes, I'll have that."
Yes.
And you ate the cab driver's sandwich.
Yes.
I think
What?
about 3 times a week.
I did, yeah. As Mary Beard would say, typical of the upper classes exploiting the poor workers.
I did not know that, and now I will have no time to think about the Roman Empire.
No, I'm sorry.
It's great.
God.
Oh,
What was in the
Mary, I
sandwich?
think it started with the shoes. Did you notice on the documentary she started wearing like glittery trainers?
Oh.
And then I thought, oh no, it's one of those lecturers who wants to be loved rather than admired.
What was in the sandwich? I must
Cheese.
know.
It was made by his wife. It was a very nice, some sort of Romanian recipe. It was lovely.
He did offer it, to be fair, didn't he?
Well, I was late because of him, and I said I won't have time to eat, and this was how he bartered with my rage. Anyway, and if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.